After years of relentless digging, puzzling discoveries, and near misses, the Oak Island team has finally reached the end of their legendary hunt. An adventurous search filled with failures and successes is now on the verge of completion, as History Channel hints that the search for the island's biggest secret is officially coming to an end. Along the way, remarkable artifacts, mysterious clues, and long-buried evidence have slowly pieced together the truth behind the centuries-old mystery. Today, we'll walk you through 7 of the most extraordinary and rare finds that brought the team to this historic conclusion. Number 1. The Swamp and Mysterious Artifacts. The beginning of the season was filled with hope and excitement about what was to come. The team was pumped with curiosity, goals, and how to achieve them. Fortunately, the week had much more in stock than they hoped for, different and new exciting discoveries, as well as furthering their steps confidently into the new season. On Lot 5, the archaeology team, Laird Niven, Jamie Cuba, and Fiona Steele, continued their task of excavating the mysterious area and, of course, the recently discovered circular stone depression that seemed to contain much more detail than the rest of the explored area on Lot 5. During the start of the excavation, Laird stated that the main goal was to expose the bottom of the feature. But he was in for a surprise at the rate at which new discoveries were made. Sooner than expected, Fiona made the first discovery of the season and alerted Jamie of what was found in the midst of the debris and lumps of soil in the feature. It was small pieces of red earthenware, which were used for storage and transport of goods and materials in North America and Europe during the 17th to 18th centuries. After observing the earthenware, Laird stated that the glaze was unusual, with a hint of purple and black color on its surface. However, what was more fascinating about the earthenware was that it was unrecognizable to Laird, who is an expert. This gives a clue that the pieces found are from earlier times, at least the 1600s, which was before the discovery of the money pit. Was there a chance that the circular depression was mistaken as the money pit and covered up so the treasure was protected from being found by searchers? There is also a linked ongoing theory that the digging of the circular feature was prompted by the idea of it being the treasure spot. Another indication is that the island was long ago inhabited by unknown dwellers before it was discovered in the 1940s and before it was divided into lots. In Laird's opinion, the only answers that can be collected are in the feature itself, and the further down it is being excavated, the older the artifacts are, and the more answers can be gotten. After Rick, Marty, and Gary joined the team at Lot 5 and detected some evidence of iron in the circular feature, Fiona made yet another discovery, a piece of pottery. This time, the piece is difficult, much thicker than the former, and identified by Laird to be coarse earthenware and possibly older than the previously found pieces. From the several spots that indicated the presence of iron, Laird, while carefully digging, found an iron artifact almost at the edge of the lumped and thick soil in the feature. He alerted Marty of discovering the source of the previously found metal hit, and after careful sorting and digging, the artifact seemed to take a much more identifiable shape. After minutes of observing the artifact, Marty stated that he thought it was an iron latch, and Laird agreed that it belonged to either a cellar or a trapdoor. If this is true, then it seems the Lot 5 circular feature has much more to hide than is perceived. As the saying goes, if there is a latch, there is a hidden structure. The unanswered question remains, what is underneath the circular feature? Marty, Rick, and Craig tried to get more info on the iron latch by visiting the Interpretive Center to get an analysis from Laird and Emma. After using a CT scanner, Emma was able to give a clear image of the artifact in its original state. From Marty's point of view, it bears semblance to a door knocker, especially considering its pointy tail. Also, its structure gives a clue of its purpose, which Marty also stated must have been driven into an object and meant to be a permanent part until it broke off due to soil activities, rusting, and aging. On a closer observation, the top of the latch seemed to have a flattened surface unlike its pointy end, which indicates it was indeed hit, possibly by a hammer or even a stone, and driven into a structure. According to Laird, the artifact seemed to be a river raft spike used for multiple purposes. Emma reported that the artifact had a high quantity of iron and no manganese, indicating it predates 1840. What stands out even more is its difference when compared to other artifacts found on the island. There are no matches, but it does have a 100% match with artifacts recovered from the site of the original depositor of the hidden treasure, Sir William Phipps. Considering the analysis result, it is safe to assume that the latch was a personal belonging of Sir Phipps. However, the mystery now is the reason why it was found in Lot 5 and who buried it in the circular depression. Still on the hot spot, Lot 5, and a few yards away from the circular feature, Rick and Gary resume the operation of what they do best and are excited. The duo begins the season's metal detection on Lot 5, starting from the metal magnet areas marked by flags. After getting a strong signal of metal presence, Rick carefully dug out the spot, and they both realized the artifact they expected to find was very small in size. Soon enough, amongst the several debris in his hand, there was a fascinating discovery. An ancient coin was unearthed. It most likely belonged to Roman origin, which based on the drawing and observation seemed to have been hand-hammered. The next flagged spot also gave a satisfactory signal, and when carefully dug out, they were both excited to discover another ancient coin. The new coin was also hand-hammered, but it was also thicker, weighed more, and had a woven kind of design on its top. On a closer look, the woven design seemed to look like chain links and is likely to be a culturally originated design. After further digging, it seemed that part of Lot 5 was either raining or growing coins, because a third coin was found a few minutes after the former, and in a flagged spot. When studied, Gary stated that the third coin had the same patina as the other two, and that the coin is possibly more ancient than the rest. Later in the day, the team goes back to take their chance on finding another coin or important artifact. Amazingly, a fourth coin was found. It is the same size as others and is also ancient. However, what differentiates it is the design at its top. What is it about Lot 5 that makes it enriched with artifacts and treasures? Is there an explanation for the several coins found in Lot 5? Perhaps it was a route used to transport hidden treasures to the money pit, and some of the found coins were falling from the movement. At the interpretive center, Marty, Rick, Craig, and Gary all await the analysis of the newly found coins. In an attempt to explore the swamp, the team's resident diver Tony is accompanied by Alex, Jack, the ROV, and the rest of his team. Underwater, after fanning debris off the potential artifact, it was revealed to be a piece of hand-carved timber, a piece of pottery with blue markings, and a sailor's clay pipe stem. Is there a chance that connects the artifacts in the swamp to those found on Lot 5 because they seem to have similar features? According to Alex, it seems this part of the swamp was a deposit site buried by water over the years. Moving closer to the underwater boulder, Tony found a metal detector hit, and repeating the pattern of fanning, he found a round metal object with a circular hole in the middle, and identified it to be a potential coin, similar to the ancient Chinese coin previously found. After more observation, he stated that it could also be a disc of some sort. Until it is retrieved, there is no confirmation of what it is. Tony also stated that the artifacts found are very similar to those found on land, and there is a possibility of it being a part of a shipwreck or being brought into the island by visitors or traders. Number 2. New pieces of ceramic and iron. While carefully digging inside the circular feature on Lot 5, after removing countless rocks, Jaime, who was working in the section where a particularly large stone had been taken out earlier, struck something she immediately sensed was significant. Excited, she called over the rest of the team to share what might be the biggest artifact discovery yet from Lot 5's circular feature. With steady hands and patient digging, Jaime finally lifted out a wide and very large piece of pottery. After examining it closely, Laird identified it as coarse earthenware, a type better known as Anglo-American ware. According to him, the piece likely came from either England or Pennsylvania, and based on its design and size, it was once a large cooking vessel. When asked about its possible age, Laird estimated it was created in the latter half of the 1700s, likely around the 1770s. That timeline places the pottery's origin after the famous money pit was discovered, offering a new clue about who may have brought it to the island. Was this vessel once used by the builders of the circular feature? Or perhaps by later occupants of Lot 5? Another possibility is that the pottery was deliberately scattered across the structure to make the feature appear like ordinary ground, or simply like an area shaped by natural soil activity. Meanwhile, about 100 yards away from the circular feature, the island's top metal detecting team, Rick and Gary, were sweeping another part of Lot 5, searching for iron artifacts that might be buried near the same spot, where coins had previously been unearthed. For Rick, Lot 5 always feels incomplete. No matter how much is excavated, researched, or analyzed, the area refuses to give up all of its secrets. Even after a year of work, its mystery endures. What makes Lot 5 stand apart from other parts of the island are its man-made structures, built with clear purpose and intent, as though meant to conceal something of importance. Yet, no sign of treasure chests, gold, or silver has ever been found there. Instead, most artifacts seem old, carefully placed, and deliberately meaningful, as though they were left behind as clues for the original depositors themselves to decode. Looking at the way the structures were built, it's clear Lot 5 was never intended to serve as a hidden archive of artifacts and underground features. Instead, the clever design was meant to disguise it in plain sight, making the land look ordinary and unworthy of attention. But Gary and Rick pressed on, following signals from the metal detector. After a few minutes of scanning, Gary picked up a strong signal, and Rick began digging into the soil. Using his smaller detector for precision, Gary uncovered a long, thin piece of iron shaped like a strap. The find had a wide head and a slim, curving length that extended straight down. Based on its form, Gary suspected it was once a decorative strap, broken away from a larger object, perhaps a vessel, piece of equipment, or other container. Judging from its texture and sturdiness, he also believed it had been used for something heavy, possibly a band designed to reinforce a box or chest. And given how close it was to the circular depression, Gary suggested the strap was very likely connected to the mysterious structure itself. Perhaps far-fetched, but there is a huge chance that during transportation of possible valuables into the structure underneath the circular feature, the strap broke off and was never recovered. If Gary's theory is accurate, then the theory of the circular feature being designed to hide valuables can be confirmed as true. When the archaeologists finally excavate to the point of reaching the stone foundation under the circular feature and breaking past it, what would be discovered could be unimaginable. What is also to be remembered is that there has been no mention of an underground structure or a stone foundation underneath the depression by any references either recovered from the original depositors of the treasure or from searchers. This indicates that there is a chance that none of the searchers ever had knowledge of a buried structure in the circular feature, and when it is to be excavated, everything seen would be first contact and untampered by human activities. Archaeologists at Lot 5 continue to dig deeper into the stone wall of the rectangular depression constructed to keep the treasures hidden underground. As expected, some new discoveries have been made, and some of the findings are dated as far back as the pre-discovery of Oak Island and its buried treasures. Early into sifting, the crew had a new discovery: a piece of metal, speculated to be either a staple or a chain link. There might be a few pointers as to why the remains of the supposed chain link were found. There is a theory of the object splitting during heavy lifting or bonding of objects, possibly treasure, and locking it underground before constructing the stone wall. There is also the possibility that something unexpected and probably more complicated took place in the area. Where did it originate from? What was its purpose? And who were the crafters? These questions would most likely be answered by the proposed CT scan to be conducted on the artifact. However, one detail that is certain is that Lot 5 was not merely residential, but, from evidence, had some sort of military activity, either as a result of conflict or it was used as a training ground. The archaeologists continue their careful digging and sifting to discover more unique artifacts that eventually could provide details of the activities in the area. Number 3. Spike, ceramic, and wooden sample. During the careful excavation, the team uncovered a cribbing spike, an artifact tied to many of the construction projects carried out on the island. Soon after, another flagged spot revealed part of a snipping tool's handle, which links back to Dan Blankenship's 1970 find of Spanish hand-forged iron scissors. When compared, the newly found tool lined up well with Blankenship's discovery. Both artifacts were carefully bagged for scanning. In Gary's opinion, the first item was indeed a small cribbing spike, a rare and exciting find, especially since nothing like it had ever been uncovered on Lot 5 before. Judging from its make, the spike appeared to be wrought iron, which connects it to other iron objects previously discovered across the island. Spikes of this kind were essential in the building of shafts and tunnels long ago, though they were also common in general construction projects. It may be a stretch, but the possibility that this very spike was used either in building the circular feature or the rectangular foundation on Lot 5 cannot be ignored. Considering Oak Island's history of boats and wharf construction, it's also likely that the builders used it for shipbuilding or marine work. A cribbing spike typically fastened two timbers together, reinforcing the idea that it could have been employed in constructing vessels, or even in securing parts of the underground tunnels and hidden structures of the island. To better understand the second find, the snipping tool, blacksmith expert Carmen Lega was brought in for analysis. After a close look, Carmen confirmed the team's suspicions. The fragment was from a pair of scissors, broken at the joint where the welded shear met the handle. When compared to Dan Blankenship's complete scissor set, the resemblance was striking. However, Carmen pointed out something even more intriguing. The Lot 5 scissors were far older than Blankenship's example. He dated the broken handle back to somewhere between the 1600s and 1700s. Carmen further explained that the missing hardened bits were where the shear had been welded to the rest of the iron piece. His conclusion was clear. This was once part of an ancient pair of scissors. When the newly found handle was set beside Blankenship's intact artifact, the similarities stood out. The handle was carved, curled in design, and only lightly joined to the shear near its edges. Still, Carmen emphasized that the Lot 5 handle was noticeably older than the scissors kept in storage. Its age, interestingly, lines up with the estimated time of construction for the circular feature. Meanwhile, archaeologists working on Lot 5 also came across several more ceramic fragments, this time including pieces of white-colored pearlware. These shards dated back earlier, around the mid-1700s. Helen suggested that some of the creamware likely came from a porcelain teapot. which was perfectly fitting for its era. Yet another mystery emerged from these finds. Evidence suggests that these ceramics may have been buried even before Oak Island's discovery. That puzzling timeline raises further questions and makes it all the more difficult to trace their true origins. Not long after Oak Island was discovered, it was separated into 4 acres for easy exploration and excavation by Charles Morris in 1762. However, it seems the rectangular depression existed before the separation of the island into segments, and definitely before the money pit was discovered. By afternoon, the drilling of the eastern borehole, C5N27, had run deep several feet underground. At about 93 feet, the drilling team was anxious to make another discovery. However, time was not on their side, and there were no explorations of the area any time after this. Before time was up, something rare happened. The rod dropped down to 104, an indicator that the soil underneath was disturbed and very fragile. After dropping lower to 111 feet, the team finally found a core with wood and confirmed that there was another structure underground, east and below the garden shaft. It is possible that this tunnel might be another passageway or a mysterious treasure tunnel. The wood found was agreed to be in good condition at the lower part, and it had an irregular pattern that indicated it was not made with high-tech material but done with man labor. It was similar to axe cuts on other woods or mechanized saws common during the 1800s. If this theory is accurate, then the tunnel was most likely built before 1795 by a secret depositor or a searcher. The second finding from the drilling was a mix of wet soil, fiber, wood chunks, and debris. From Terry's perspective, it seems the more solid and cleaner wood beam belonged to the roof of the tunnel, while the lower, muddy, and softer fibers were used for the floor of the tunnel. After the pieces of wood were placed together, they observed that the loose fragments matched and formed the other part of the wood chunk from 111. When the wood was observed, Terry also discovered that there was a pattern on it, seeming like it was formed from irregular axe cuts. The wood also has stria and is hand-hewed, and if it is any similar to the hand-hewed beam found previously, it indicates that the wood is really old, and so is the structure. Number 4. Anomaly in Aladdin's Cave. At Lot 5, inside the archaeologist workspace where the circular feature is being examined, Peter and Jack decided to lend a hand. Peter got busy digging through the feature, while Jack took on his usual specialty, sifting through the debris for artifacts. Within just 5 minutes of sorting through the material and scanning the spoils for any clues, Jack spotted something unusual. He came across a piece of metal that he thought looked like a staple. Moya, however, believed it resembled a chain link, and Helen quickly supported her view, agreeing that it indeed looked like one. What makes this discovery intriguing is that the presence of a chain link usually points to heavy lifting, whether tools or valuables, suggesting that something large and weighty was once moved, in this case likely into the rectangular foundation. Judging by the level of corrosion, the chain link appeared to be extremely old. It was sent off to the Interpretive Center for further study. With the help of Edeon Technologies and their use of the muon scanning method, the team gained access to highly detailed and accurate data. 14 sensory cameras were deployed into the money pit boreholes, and over the course of more than 2 years, they continuously observed and recorded underground activity. Positioned between depths of 80 and 250 feet, these cameras offered glimpses into whatever might have shifted beneath the surface. Their main focus was on tunnels feeding into the money pit, underground vaults, voids, and, most importantly, high-density anomalies that could contain treasure or critical evidence leading to it. For the Oak Island team, locating areas with high-density anomalies and signs of precious metals became the ultimate priority. Edion's representatives later transformed the collected data into clear imagery and mapping, making it easier to interpret. The visuals showed a vast yellow background dotted with blue, green, orange, and red sections. The yellow indicated neutral anomalies, blue marked low-density anomalies, and orange to red signified high-density anomalies, with intensity levels reflecting how strong the readings were. The zones marked in orange and red were of the highest interest, as they suggested the potential presence of treasure or valuable metals. However, the low-density regions could not be ignored either, since they might reveal tunnels, vaults, or secret chambers. When breaking down the images, one standout anomaly appeared west of the garden shaft at 65 feet beneath the money pit area. Directly below this was a low-density anomaly, sparking questions. Could this mean a tunnel or some kind of structure lies beneath the supposed treasure? This low-density anomaly stretched down to 112 feet, and while it might not directly aid in finding treasure, it could still serve as a passageway to another hidden deposit. Among all the findings, the standout data was a high-density anomaly located 85 feet off the garden shaft and plunging 230 feet below the money pit. This discovery was viewed as a potential trillion-dollar breakthrough. The anomaly's location had never before been investigated, and with Dumas's past operation long behind them, the Oak Island team would be the first to explore an area at such a depth. This suggested the possibility that their focus had been misdirected all along, that perhaps the hunt was not for one treasure, but multiple. The low-density anomaly wasn't forgotten either. As evidence suggested, the team had unknowingly stumbled into it before. Borehole L15, which connected to a void that led to the discovery of Aladdin's cave, aligned with the area showing the low-density anomaly. As per tradition, any site with potential artifacts was flagged for excavation, and digging commenced with high hopes. The first flagged spot revealed a significant concentration of metal material. A large lump of soil and dense stone had to be cleared before reaching the target. After carefully working through it, the team uncovered an ancient-looking coin, believed to be even older than the coins found earlier. Its weight and appearance suggested it might be an authentic original piece. Like the other artifacts, it was carefully sealed and sent to the lab for verification and analysis. With luck, the results would confirm its true origin. Each new artifact reinforced the idea that Lot 5, stretching more than an acre westward across the island, could hold a direct connection to the money pit, possibly even serving as an extension of it. The artifact was presented to archaeologist Laird Niven, who confirmed it was a piece of lead, most likely a bag seal dating back to the ancient era, around the 13th century, when lead seals were commonly used as fasteners for industrial and military shipments. Not long ago, a lead bag seal had also been discovered on Lot 32, one that matched closely with a 14th century lead barter token, along with a lead cross of the same period unearthed at Smith's Cove. Supporting his conclusion, Laird explained that in the 13th century, these seals were created from two circular pieces of lead stamped together, a detail supported by the cut marks still visible on the artifact. To add scientific weight, Emma carried out a machine analysis using an X-ray fluorescence spectrometer, a radiation-based method that identifies an object's origin and elemental makeup. Her results showed the lead was not pure. Traces of iron impurities and a small amount of copper were embedded in it. While the broader report on bag seals revealed some inconsistencies, there was one detail that sparked hope. The top of the mysterious artifact bore strange inscriptions, with the clearest being the letters KER, though other markings were harder to decipher. The interpretive team searched for matches and found a striking similarity. One sample inscription read, I, Leold Parkers, London. This seal belonged to a cloth parker from the 1700s, a company that packed half-ton bales of cloth before sealing and shipping them. It's very possible the Lot 5 seal served the same purpose. This discovery raised the strong possibility that supplies such as military uniforms, weapons, maps, food, and medicine had been packed, sealed, and transported to Oak Island. The company was identified as Army Parkers, which ties back to the theory that Lot 5 may once have served as a military base or secret arms depot. Although the company's exact century of operation has not been confirmed, records date it close to 1808, according to one address entry. Still, the seal itself is believed to be older than it first appears. A key detail lies in the use of the letter I in place of J within the inscription. Historically, I was often used to represent John before language evolution phased it out, a practice documented as far back as 1524. Only a few feet from the circular feature, near the stone apron built by Robert Young, the team uncovered open soil containing high-quality metal. Digging further, they retrieved a small, round object, a lead shot. Its size indicated a small caliber, and, based on its condition, it was clearly very old. Given that it was found in Lot 5, the artifact most likely dated back to the 1700s. Gary suggested this could point to military activity, whether organized or minor, taking place on the island, specifically Lot 5. Even more intriguing, the discovery of lead shot around the feature ties directly to the Duc d'Anville ship log, which recorded a French naval mission in 1746 to hide treasure on an island. With the cruise path bringing them near Oak Island, the possibility that this very island was chosen as their treasure ground seems entirely plausible. Number 5. Wedge found in deep mud. The discovery of precious materials in the muddy debris was collected from the garden shaft by Dumas Contracting Limited. Since the construction company has been busy with the drilling operation in the garden shaft, there has been no room to search for wood materials, precious materials, and artifacts in the core of the tunnel. An improvisation was made, and the debris was collected into a truck and dumped on neutral ground to be searched through. Gary and Charles took on the responsibility of searching through the muck with the metal detecting device for any signs of high-quality iron in the debris. Soon enough, there was constant beeping indicating that at least one metal material had been found. Digging through the thick mud, Gary discovered a big chunk of flat-surfaced thick iron he stated to be a metal wedge. According to Charles, the artifact bears similarity to an axe handle in a wooden staff. If his opinion is accurate, the piece found might be a broken piece of iron belonging to an axe or a hoe, and perhaps was used to dig through the soil, tunnels, or structures. However accurate he is, the odds of making this discovery 80 feet deep below the ground are very rare. The wedge is likely to have been used by the original depositors of the treasure on Oak Island, dating back to 1735. Will the metal give enough clues to reveal its original owner? Or will it just be an unusual artifact found in the debris of the garden shaft? The wedge was sealed and taken to the interpretive center for further analysis. Number 6. New discoveries inside the garden shaft tunnel. After the much-anticipated work on the garden shaft and the successful installation of tunnel shoes, the team was finally ready to push forward with their exploration. About 87 feet into the tunnel, brothers Rick and Marty Lagina, along with Roger Fortin from Dumas Contracting Limited, encountered an unexpected surprise: a steady rainfall of water seeping directly from the soil on one side of the tunnel. The water infiltration seemed to come from the right-hand wall at 60 feet and deeper. To stop the persistent leakage, Roger came up with a plan: drill around 9 large holes into the wall and inject them with urethane. This method, much like grouting, would block the water by sealing the holes under pressure. and once the urethane dried, it would prevent further rainfall inside the tunnel. Although still under construction, this progress was bringing the crew closer to the underground tunnel that stretches beneath the garden shaft and heads toward the baby blob. Even though the passage hadn't yet reached its full length, Rick, Marty, and Roger found themselves in a place never before explored by any searchers, with their ultimate target seemingly just beyond their reach. Beyond the thought of long-lost treasure being so close, the team celebrated another important achievement: the successful build of the horizontal shaft. Alongside this milestone, they also received fresh test results on the unusual materials discovered in the Money Pit waters. To go over the findings, a meeting was held in the war room with geoscientist Dr. Ian Spooner, chemist Dr. Mark Lukeman, and hydrogeologist Dr. Fred Michael. Dr. Lukeman explained that they used fluorescence testing to detect evidence of metals in the water, while fluorescence spectroscopy was applied to identify non-metals like wood, pottery, and other organic traces. Among the many boreholes drilled in the Money Pit area, one stood out, L16. When dug deep enough, it opened into a massive void the team now calls Aladdin's Cave. Even more intriguing, test results showed high-quality traces of gold, along with organic material, strongly suggesting the presence of wooden structures, perhaps even a tunnel. Given the extreme depth, the odds of finding wood should have been almost zero, yet the discovery raises big questions about past human activity in that hidden cave. Not long after, drilling began on a new borehole, KL 14.5, designed to intersect with L16 and reach the heart of Aladdin's Cave. The team's plan was simple but bold: drop a high-definition camera inside and finally see what lies below. At a depth of 153 feet, the drill rod suddenly struck a void with 10 feet of open space, possibly the entrance to the long-sought tunnel. Using the Inuktun Spectrum 120 HD camera, the team lowered their view into the cavern. At 142 feet, the camera reached the cave, and with just slight adjustments, the lens revealed something shocking: a square-headed bolt wedged into layers of what appeared to be rocks or packed sand. Clearly, the bolt wasn't a natural formation. This was undeniable proof of human activity inside Aladdin's Cave. When the camera descended further, the view sharpened. What they first thought were piles of soil were actually the side wall of the cave, or possibly a collapsing boulder. But the biggest mystery remained. Why would a bolt be embedded in the wall? Could it be part of a locking system guarding the entrance to a true treasure chamber? The team agreed that the next step had to be a sonar scan, which would provide more answers about this mysterious discovery. Excited by the discovery of the anomaly highlighted in the research report from Ideon Technologies, the team wasted no time and immediately began work at the L14 borehole located just south of Aladdin's Cave. To carry out this delicate operation, Blaine Carr, an expert in underwater imagery, was called in to join the effort right at the heart of the action. Yet, as expected, it was easier to imagine than to actually achieve. In this case, easier to see than to bring into reality. Even with the thrill running through the group, they understood the challenges that awaited them before Aladdin's Cave could truly be revealed. The first was the depth itself. The borehole plunges about 140 to 142 feet down. The second was staying focused on their central mission, to get a view of the inside of Aladdin's Cave. Along with that, they had another important goal: pinpointing both the entry and exit of the cavern. A third mission connected to this was perhaps the most exciting: proving whether the island could hold not just a single treasure site, but multiple hidden deposits. If the cave revealed an exit, it might mean a tunnel stretching toward another chamber filled with valuable finds. The first step involved the drilling team preparing to lower a high-definition camera into the L14 borehole at the southern edge of Aladdin's cave. They began by opening up the cove, then carefully lowering the camera deep inside. The aim was clear: to detect the cave's exact position, study its form and traits, and even analyze its origins by reading its structure. Once this phase was underway, Blaine Carr stepped in to do what only he could do best. He took control of the cameras as they descended into the tunnel and activated a sonar scan to map out the underground landscape and its unique features. As the camera crept deeper into the dark borehole, its lights flickered on. Blaine tied the camera securely to a rope, then guided it carefully down the shaft. Soon, in the early stage of the descent, a water-filled void appeared, showing faint signs of metal within it. Even with this unexpected gap, the camera managed to keep going until it reached the point where a 3D sonar scan was planned. But when the scan was attempted, something unusual appeared. Something no one could quite identify. On the imagery feed, a strange formation emerged, which the team labeled the teeth. Intrigued, they pressed on, lowering the camera further for a better look. Roughly 6 feet deeper, Alex observed that they had reached the cave's cavity. Continuing cautiously, they lowered the camera to capture not just glimpses, but hopefully a full view of the cave's side structures. Soon, the cavity itself appeared on screen. The cave's walls, its sides, and the ledge inside were now visible. Still, something crucial seemed to be missing. Could it be the expected treasure or artifacts that weren't in sight? Marty, curious to know more, had the team investigate around the ledge by lowering the camera 3 inches deeper. Just beyond, they uncovered a larger opening, like a tunnel or a hidden passage. Going another 6 inches lower to see the cave's floor, they spotted an even wider opening. To explore this discovery, the camera was rotated slowly in a full 360 degrees, revealing medium-sized lumps of soil scattered around, as if concealing something beneath. Yet, from the imagery, it was difficult to tell whether these lumps lay at the base or against the side of the cavern. At just the right angle, a lump appeared that looked distinctly harder than the one seen earlier. It resembled a shattered rock with jagged edges. The rock had a flat surface and sharp angles, giving the impression that it might be concealing something, possibly the hidden treasure, though there was no way to confirm it yet. For now, no further discoveries could be made until more data had been analyzed. Meanwhile, on Lot 5, Jack and Helen began carefully sifting through the debris surrounding the circular feature. Minutes into their search, Helen noticed traces of pipe stem among the rubble. The findings didn't match the initial expectation of uncovering numerous nails, which she noted was actually a positive sign. It suggested that the structure beneath the circular area might have been a log cabin. Examining the seams closely revealed the faint outline of the original artifact, free from rust or compacted soil. Within minutes, the object was identified as a handle. From its practical design, when Carmen placed it beside his hands, it became clear that it was part of a larger object. The angle and length indicated that it was most likely a ladle, longer than what had been recovered so far. Curious about its condition, Carmen requested a CT scan from Emma, suspecting that the ladle might have holes hidden beneath the corroded surface. The scan confirmed his suspicions. The ladle had 3 holes, 2 large ones side by side, and a smaller one near the lower middle. Peter verified that the ladle had been manufactured during the William Phipps period. What made these 3 artifacts particularly unique was the evidence suggesting they were all part of the Phipps collection, and interestingly, they seemed to complement each other. Could these three items be clues pointing to an event on Lot 5, or perhaps to a significant structure built to hide something beneath the stone feature? One thing was certain. It reinforced the idea that Sir William Phipps had indeed used Oak Island as a repository for treasures recovered from the 1641 shipwreck. Shortly afterward, Jack uncovered a nail that appeared to belong to a frame building, hinting at the potential to discover more like it. Meanwhile, Jamie continued digging around the circular feature and made a sizable find. A metal fastener unlike the ones found previously. It appeared to be a strap hinge for a door, with the hammer portion missing. Right after, Jamie also found a large nail that likely held the fastener to a wooden surface. This nail had a striking feature: a rose-spiked head and visible signs of use. It was bent, hand-wrought, and the head had been hammered on 4 sides. Judging by its characteristics, the nail likely dated back to the 1600s, predating even the discovery of the Money Pit area. The team agreed to test it to see if it could be linked to Oak Island's original treasure depositor, Sir William Phipps. Helen also noted that, based on the location of these artifacts, if more metal pieces were discovered nearby, the area might correspond to the window side of the original building. Number 7. Man-made structure in the mysterious island. Furthering their research on what is hidden in Aladdin's cave, a sonar device was inserted into the opening to see more, and hopefully man-made structures hidden inside the cave. Unlike the former visual barrier due to the muddy water, the sonar device would give a clear view and, with direction, brighten everything to light. About 150 feet deep into the cave, Terry discovered a crescent moon shape from the representation on the diagram and tried to make sense of what was seen. After rotating the sonic device, a much larger, clearer, and more detailed image could be seen, including the sides of the crescent. Soon enough, a sharp edge to the crescent could be seen, and based on its location and shape, it seemed like a man-made structure. The lines were too steep and straight on the sides to be regarded as a work of nature. When further studied, this structure might give the long-awaited clue on the method constructors of the island's structure used, and, by chance, if it is similar to other underground structures. It could also give a chance to get more details on the origin and cultural influence of the structure. As the device kept being rotated, Terry, based on the image provided, stated that the first slope is possibly sand, while the other slope is most likely the trick, and should be hiding something underneath it or behind it. From Marty's observation, the structure also has a semi-formed square shape at the side, which makes it too unique for nature, but a very complex construction that would not be done if there wasn't something valuable enough to find. In simple terms, Aladdin's cave is a treasure deposit. Steve explained the structure to the rest of the team, identifying the western part of the cave that holds the structure, and gave the option of drilling through the western part to get to the structure. Using the high-definition camera 360 feature, the team finally achieved one of the main goals: finding the opening of the cave. However, the opening seemed to be in the middle of 2 walls leading to a deep, narrow hole. Steve expressed that he felt it was a tunnel when he got to that point in the cave, because of the closeness of the opening. In Charles's opinion, there is a chance that if the opening is further investigated, it could be the entrance to a tunnel. On Lot 5, the team resumed working in the circular feature after draining the depression of the water accumulated from the flood. Moya, while digging through the feature, made a new discovery. She found what seemed to be a barrel strap which, according to Helen, was fastened to a barrel with a nail that seemed to be of different metal material and was greenish-looking, indicating that it was copper. Also, when a metal is copper, Helen stated that it having a bit of green means that it was in the sea for a while and was affected by salt water that made it corrode. Jack agreed, stating that there have been several barrel-discovered artifacts, such as hoops, that have been found in the swamp and metallic target areas. After careful digging into the circular feature, the team reached the conclusion that they had gotten the closest they could to the stone feature lying underneath the circular feature. Being recently aware of the stone wall, the team has just begun work on determining what area it covers. Now that there is less finding and more scraping on dry and sparse soil in the feature, it seems that the stone wall is already within reach. Jamie stated that she believes that the stone wall was not underneath the feature but above it, and stood as a solid foundation. However, most likely due to aging and soil activities, it collapsed and fell into the depression, then covered by ruins. In the garden shaft, there was an amazing turn of events. In the process of sealing the water infiltration in the tunnel, Roger discovered a hole that seemed unusual and was compelled to investigate. He inserted a small camera and took pictures of what was inside the hole and made a unique, groundbreaking discovery. Inside the hole was a hidden structure that had walls, pieces of timber, and a path that seemed to lead to a tunnel or an offset chamber. From first and simple observation, it seems the area has not been explored by any searcher, as there has been no mention of it. The team looks forward to exploring the lemonade made out of the rainy lemon tunnel. However, until the infiltration is put to a stop, there is nothing that can be done. What are your thoughts on the treasure, and what do you think was the most important find? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification button for updates on the Lagina brothers' journey in unveiling the curse of Oak Island.